Hello and welcome to yet another episode of 100 Hours of Practice. This is currently the third episode, which means after this video I already have 30 long hours completed. So for today's episode I'm going to do something which I never wanted to do again. I am going back to the practice range. I did not want to go back here after the first episode because it's just so boring. There are just bots everywhere. Fortunately, this is not the regular practice range. This is practice range v2.0. It is actually a workshop map. Workshop codes in the description. So what am I going to do in this practice range? I will be shooting Symmetra turrets and some Pharas. I will be shooting Symmetra turrets for 6 hours and I will be shooting Phara for 4. During these 10 hours, just like with previous episodes, I will find a new location for shooting my targets after each hour. After 10 hours, again just like in the previous episodes, there will be a 1v1. So let's get straight into it. This is Ray Ray and you're watching my 100 hours of training. Now I can hear you thinking, what is different in this practice range? Good question. It is exactly the same, but with a few new features. The first one is this Widowmaker grappling to the top and dropping back down. Easy target, I would say. The Widowmaker is most likely bugged though, because if you shoot it once, she will never respawn unless you reload the workshop. At least she won't respawn for me. The second new feature is this Symmetra shooting her sentry turrets. As you can see here, Symmetra keeps teleporting and throwing her turrets, which you can shoot. This is something I will be doing in this episode. The third new thing is this Phara flying around. Killing Phara will let her respawn each time. At the beginning there are 2 Pharas for some reason, God knows why. This is something I will be doing in this episode as well. And last but not least, here's a Reaper just shadow stepping from pillar to pillar. Killing him will respawn him as well. This could be useful for timing his ability, but other than that I don't see any use for it. All these new things create a different vibe for this training. It is not so brain dead like the regular practice range, that make it less boring to do. Anyway, let's start the training. So for the first 6 hours I will be shooting Symmetra sentry turrets. Each hour I will be going to another location to shoot from there. These 6 hours I have split into 2 parts. Both parts are 3 hours long. Part 1 is where I just try to shoot the turrets, nothing more, nothing less. Now this may sound rather easy, however it is not as easy as you might think. The thing with this is, the targets are pretty small. They are kind of hard to hit. What made it even harder is that there is something like a delay to the turrets. Like you have to shoot behind the turrets to destroy them. This is not the worst problem though, because after some times you get used to it. Now for the second part of shooting these turrets is, again, shooting them. Only this time I will be tracking the turrets before I shoot. This way I will be training my tracking abilities as well. Again, here you will also have to shoot behind the turrets, which made it somewhat harder. Why I train this, besides the fact to train my tracking ability, is that I have noticed that in competitive games I tend to go to the enemy backline without them noticing. From here, I always try to make a quick kill. However, I miss these shots a lot. Now with this exercise, I hope that this will happen less than usual. I don't know if going backline as much as I do is good, but since I do it a lot, I might as well train it. Here are some clips of each hour on these turrets.
Work on that aim. Just a matter of time. Never much like you.
So what I can say about this training is, it is boring. Most trainings are boring. However, this one was especially boring. I do not have an exact reason why I did not like this. What I think is that due to the fact that you have to shoot the air behind the turrets instead of the actual turrets, it got boring way faster. This is just an assumption. Now on to the training against Farah. I felt like this practice was actually useful, because for the first time there was something like a natural movement. With this I mean like she's flying around just like any real player Farah would. This made it also much more enjoyable as well. So far I only killed bots or some random blue balls with similar movement and patterns the entire time, so this was a nice change. Like I have mentioned earlier, I will be doing this for 4 hours. Just like with every other exercise I've been doing up until this point, I will switch locations each hour. Here are some clips of each hour of killing Farah. Let's talk about this exercise for a bit. It was a nice change from killing bots, and so far I think this was the most useful training I've had up until this point. This might be because this is the first exercise I did where there was something like a natural movement, like I've mentioned earlier. I do feel like my aim has gotten somewhat better. Do I recommend this workshop? Yes and no. Are you someone who spends time in the practice range, doesn't matter between games or not? Yes, I do recommend it. Are you someone who does not like training but wants to get better? Then no, I do not recommend it. There are better and much more fun workshops out there that will improve your gameplay. Now I know in actual games you will not be standing still while shooting for most of the time, and up until now that's all I've been doing. So for the upcoming episodes I will try to not be doing this. I do have some practices ready where I have to be standing still, but those are some specific exercises. For all the other exercises I will try to be moving like I would in any other game mode, which is competitive for most of the time. Now that the 10 hours are over, it is time for the 1v1. Only this time I won't be going up against my friend Ton W Killer NL. I was going to, but something came up and he was unavailable. Fortunately, another friend of mine is available and he's around the same skill level as Ton W Killer NL. If not, he's even better. Enjoy!
Score 2-1. Fight. Match point.
Yes! I finally won something. Although that might be because there's a different opponent for me this time. Or the training I did was actually helpful. But hey, you don't hear me complaining now, do you? Anyway, I won, so you can't hear me complaining. And this wraps up the third episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Until next time.